not only would the World Health Organization and its leadership have the ability to declare a emergency whenever they feel fit, so inclined, and to declare what measures should be taken, ergo, which vaccine you should have to take, what medicine you should have to take, what treatment protocols your physicians would be allowed to deploy, all the kinds of things that we've seen deployed by nation states, particularly the Five Eyes nations over the last 3 years, would then vest with the World Health Organization. And by the way, to fund that, there would be a tax imposed on all of the nations that is a function of their health budgets. And so since the United States spends far more than any other country on its medical care, it would bear a larger burden of the costs of this. And there was significant objection in the African states and in Latin America and Brazil, as I mentioned, and that caused a backtracking on the prior versions that were much more explicit about the authority of the WHO to impose these things unilaterally. Many interpreted this as, including myself, as the African states standing up for their personal sovereignty, their national sovereignty. There is a opposing narrative that, in fact, the African states' primary objective was that they weren't getting enough of the goodies under these terms and conditions. And since that time, there have been a number of initiatives announced in Africa, including the build out of a new mRNA vaccine manufacturing facility. And so the skeptical among us believe that the African objections in the prior round may be overcome in the current round. So we may not be able to rely on that as we did previously. So in sum, we appear to have a sort of a power grab. That would be the pessimist version of this by a internationalist organization that has, I think most objective eyes would say, grossly failed in meeting its mission over the last 3 years, been plagued by lack of transparency, corruption, and various forms of compromise, that now would be granted unilateral authority to both survey, the pessimist might say spy, on the activities of nation states, set up their own observation capability in independent nation states to be able to detect the emergence of a potential global health emergency. And there is a component of this that's forward-looking, so that they would not only be watching to detect emerging infectious disease or other public health emergencies, but potential public health emergencies. So this maps into the topic area of One World Health, where the WHO believes that its mission should be expanded to cover animal health, agricultural health, plant health, climate, etc., because it's all one global problem, and they're the ones to solve it with their unelected form of management. So that's kind of where this is all heading. And the key question is, has the train already left the station? And all we are is observers griping and sniping from the sidelines. I had the pleasure of being on Neil Oliver's GB News broadcast on Coronation Day, where we talked about this. And of course, because GB News now is scared of its shadow in the form of the BBC censorship organization, or national, I guess it's the National Censorship Board. I don't really understand this, but there it is. You guys seem to be going hell-bent for leather to mimic the situation in Canada, I guess. So when going on Neil's show, we weren't allowed to talk about the vaccines. because that could get them into trouble. But we had, of course, the required, government-approved counterpoint person sitting in on this, who made the case that, well, the current language in the international health regulation modifications make it clear now that the intent is not to compromise the sovereignty of individuals or nation states, and has some softened language to that extent concerning the requirement versus the option to comply. But my counterpoint to this gentleman was, given our experience of the last 3 years, I find this soft and squishy wording unreassuring. I prefer to see very explicit wording saying that these will not be used to compromise the sovereignty of independent nation states, and that the World Health Organization will not have the option to implement unilateral policies superseding those that are determined by the leadership of each independent autonomous nation state. That's the kind of language I want to see. Not, well, maybe we don't really want to do this to you, but we might. I find after the last 3 years, any crack in the wall that they can squeeze their agenda through, I'm skeptical that they will do so, given the opportunity. And so what I want to see is a pretty well-built wall, and about 50 feet thick, to prevent this after the bungling, incompetence, and corruption that we've seen, in my opinion. So there's my not so short synopsis, Brian. I hope that provided a reasonable introduction to the topic. I think that we are, and many others in my world, think that we are facing a true threat, not just an existential threat, to independence and sovereignty by another one of these organizations that are wedded to the idea that a decentralized world governance structure comprising independent autonomous nation states is obsolete and inadequate for addressing global problems. And we must have a centralized command economy based utilitarian approach grounded in the thesis that the reason why centralized command economy utilitarian approaches have always failed in the past, and of course there's many philosophical and political science terms we could apply to that, but the reason they failed is apparently they didn't have enough data. And if they only had enough data that they could feed into their new AI algorithms and spreadsheets, then centralized planned economies would work spectacularly. I suspect that probably you and your audience would disagree with that thesis.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
This course has been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.